Hello guys, and welcome to a new Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 vs 3 on Vitebsk, and I'm going to be playing with the Guards Armoured with the balanced deployment type. I thought it was finally time that I made another Division 2 video and covered more of the divisions of the latest DLC. I didn't expect it to be the Guards Armoured, however. It kind of surprised me how strong this division turned out to be, so I thought I'd make a video on it today and just kind of talk about the strengths that the Guards Armoured brings with it. But let's go through my units quickly. We've got the recce on the right hand side here that's going to be heading over to this church in order to give us good line of sight over the open ground here. Do remember that churches do give you elevated line of sight that is not shown on the line of sight tool. And then further to the left we have two more recce units that are going to be heading off to the left here to kind of give me recon information over the open ground and then potentially sneak up to this heavy cover here. This is a little bit of cover that you can use to conceal recon units, and it's in a really nice position to spot stuff all over this left hand side. I've got another one that's going to be heading up onto the high ground, and that's going to be assisted by a Cromwell 6 that will be able to engage things at long range using its 2000 meter range HE. Then we have the Sexton that's going to be firing away at the start, trying to hit any transports coming up this road. Try and delay my opponent a little bit with that. Then I've got a bunch of rifles following up the recce. We've got the motorized rifle in the 50 cal half track. We've got some Stuart 5 recons, which are Stuarts with two 30 cals and a 50 cal. Then we got a Cromwell 4 recon, bunch of Stuart 6s, Stuart 6 leader, Crusader AA, and of course Harris coming up the rear. So the big thing about the Guards Armoured right now is the abundance of Stuarts. In my deck at the moment, I've set it up so that I have a card of Stuart 5 recons and then two cards of Stuart 6s, which gives me like 21, I believe, Stuarts in Phase A. Actually, if you include the leaders, it's like 24 Stuarts in Phase A. And the crazy thing about them is they're only 25 points apiece. The Stuart Recon ones are 30 points, but still extremely cheap for how effective they are. Especially if you compare it to like a 50 cal half track, 15 points. You know, you add a 37mm gun and two 30 cals, and you get yourself a Stuart 5 for an extra 15 points. So it's kind of a really nice price point for these Stuarts right now, borderline OP in my opinion, and it's primarily the reason I wanted to show off the Guards today. So I've got this little contingent of Stuart 5s going to be heading over to the right hand side. They're going to be trying to push through the light cover using the Stuart 5 recons. These can pin down infantry super fast with the 50 cals, and then we can surrender them with the normal unit. Because the Stuart 5 recons won't push the front line, you will need another unit with them in order to do that and get the surrenders. Recon units can surrender enemy units if they are in your territory. Do bear that in mind. But the main reason you want a normal unit with them usually is so you can push the front line over the enemy unit so that when they're pinned, they can surrender. Anyway, managed to take out a recon unit that crested the ridge. He probably just saw some Stuarts, so he's likely going to be going for a bit of a push here. My recce, meanwhile, are moving up on the left here to get into a better position to overwatch this reinforcing road. But here comes the attack. The P40s up against the Stuart 6s. These P40s unfortunately getting caught out by gun depression and not able to engage as they try and come up over the edge of the ridge there. Tiger engaging from range is not good for the Stuarts, but we have managed to trade pretty well so far, even taking out the Commander Stug. Probably shouldn't have been here on the front line, but two P40s down, the Command Stug taken care of. This P40 struggling to engage the Stuart 6. We do get bombed briefly by the Spiviro, but looking to try and finish off the P40, I don't manage to get it done. Now the reason that he was having problems shooting there was just because he didn't come up the ridge enough, so as I mentioned, the gun depression getting the better of him. But as soon as he does come up, the Cromwell 4 on the left here has good line of sight takes it out. So I did end up losing quite a few Stuarts. But you've got to remember, these are 25 points apiece. Whereas these P40s, I think they're 40 points. The Stug Commander, substantially more. So motorized rifles arriving in more 50 cal vehicles. It's one of the divisions now that gets 50 cal half tracks, which is something that the other sort of British armoured units don't usually get. So really, really nice. And you can see just how quickly we pin down these Panzergrens when they try and come over the ridge. Panzerschreck did manage to come up here and get another kill. Over on the right hand side, Pack 38 has found my Stuart 6s. Unfortunately, this Stuart 5 is bailed out as well. So I'm going to be losing 3 Stuarts here pretty much for free. Those lighter AT guns are definitely something that are a pain to deal with. And I can't engage it really with the Cromwell because I would put myself in range of the Pack 38. What I should be doing really is have the Cromwell 6 over on this hill so I can fire all the way across at max range. Okay, now the Tiger's coming up. It's struggling with gun depression as well. The thing is with this hill is it's so long, like, and curved, that the gun depression is like a super big problem for pushing up here. Another cheeky bombing strike from the SM-79. Does kill off one of my rifles, but I'm managing to hold him off the edge of the ridge, which is good. In this position, I can defend relatively well. The next step, really, though, is getting into positions with AT guns that can kind of keep things away from the edge, because it's still easy for him to get stuff all the way down this road and up onto the edge of this hill and continue to contest me here, which is something that we're going to want to try and avoid as much as possible. Running away from the IG there as it was trying to aim. More Panzergrens flooding up the hill. It's going to be hard for my rifles to deal with. But the rifles, they're not there to engage enemy infantry, really. They're just there to help push the front line and hold heavy cover. It's really up to the Stuarts to get the job done, and that's what they're here for. Now the Panzergrens, in this case, they do have the Panzerbuchse, so they are dealing some damage and dealing some criticals to my tanks. There's also another Panzerschreck that I'm going to have to be wary of, so backing off from that. My Stuart 5 Recon here finds the Tiger. Yeah, this Stuart trying to take care of the Panzerschreck. Cromwell finishes it off. Sexton still coming down with more artillery onto this tree line. Recce not quite in the right position here. I need to move it forward slightly so that it gets better line of sight. But it has been spotting the odd unit coming down this road, so that's been handy so far. You can see, even though I've lost a bunch of Stuarts, I'm just constantly flooding them back in. And this is the real strength of the Guards Armoured, and the reason that I think it's actually pretty strong in 1v1 now as well. It's just the amount of them and how good value for money they are, because Stuart 6s can trade up to medium tanks with that 37mm gun at closer ranges, and you can see that's exactly what happened with the P40s. Obviously the P40s in this case did manage to get shots off, but even so, it shows you that the Stuart 6s are really capable of penetrating those kinds of units. And the Stuart 6 going to be continuing to lay down that 30 cal fire, and just due to the sheer amount of machine guns, it's making it very difficult for those Panzergrens to make any ground. I do have this Typhoon floating about. The reason I was using that was so that the Stuart 5 could move forward, spot the Tiger, and then I could bring in the Typhoon to destroy it. However, he moved the Tiger away. I ended up bumping into the SPW instead, which actually got the better of my Stuart because of the rate of fire that the SPW has. A nice kill here for the Mosquitoes. The Focke-Wulf was coming in for the Typhoon. Mosquitoes intercepted. Managing to kill off the MG34 there. You can see that both of these Mosquitoes, they are 2 veterancy, and that's going to allow us to get some pretty good damage down onto softer targets. As I was saying earlier, the Cromwell 6 engaging the Pak 38 at this range is not ideal. Unless I can get a couple of good hits, it's only going to end badly. A couple of P40s come up onto the edge of the ridge, this time up on the road. They're going to get taken out as well. Sexton's going to continue to put down the pain on the edge of this hill. So the main thing that's happening right now is I'm just slowly trading into my opponent. I'm getting better value for money with my Stuarts, and yeah, eventually once we clear out the infantry, pin it down, run forward to the rifles to help surrender them in the heavy cover, then we're gonna break through here nicely. So meanwhile, on the rest of the map, mid's relatively even as Taki trying to hold back Endermion's Festung, Grossparry, and on the right hand side, Grim's done a good job with the 7th. The 7th Armoured is another really good Commonwealth Armoured division that has similar strengths to the Guards Armoured. I would say some would argue that it's better than the Guards Armoured, mainly because of the infantry quality, the fact you get the Battle Weary trait, which gives you that free veterancy. All of these infantry, for example, are 2 veterancy, and that makes the half-tracks 2 veterancy as well. It's another division that gets those 50 cal half-tracks now. But I think the abundance of Stuarts here is definitely very strong still. Rifles taking out the IG for me, that's always very nice. Brens, definitely more effective than they used to be against support weapons at range. Not really showing it in this case, as the Pak 38 managing to get away unscathed. But we're getting into a nice position here now, where I have infantry on the edge of the ridge, and we're going to be able to put pressure off the ridge and kind of potentially stop him from bringing reinforcements down the road. But I've got to basically clear out this tree line so that the rifles can move in here. So I'm bringing up the field engineers. They have the HE TNT for close range engagements. Then I can follow it up with some Stuarts. I'm also moving some Stuarts over to the left hand side to try and get down into the light cover here. Another SM 79 coming in with some bombs. These bombs are actually surprisingly effective. Really good for picking off the odd squad, and they drop them from really high up. So yeah, kind of the HE cluster that I generally don't rate too highly, actually performing pretty well in this game, killing off those infantry units. Now it's not so important that my rifles survive, but they are good for anchoring down these heavy cover positions. So more Cromwells now on the way. Another really good aspect of the Guards Armoured is recon Cromwells. Cromwells were really, really good in the Czechoslovak Independent Armoured Brigade group, and they're really good again in both the 7th and in the Guards Armoured. Like, just having a tank that is relatively cheap, 60 points, super fast, has 75mm gun and 2 machine guns. Such a lovely combination for making nice flanking maneuvers and supporting itself in light cover. It's the same reason that the 4th Canadians Shermans are really good in the recon tab, because they can support themselves in light cover, because they can spot for themselves. Usually you want to have infantry with them because the optics are too low on the tanks themselves. Unfortunate armor crack there, as the Pak 38 gets the extra damage from that, finds the one-shot kill. These Cromwell 4s, as I mentioned, going to be able to support themselves moving through the light cover here. Bringing up a couple of rifles with Piets as well, so that they can engage enemy infantry effectively. So I'm thinking at this point it's going to be difficult for me to get through the Tigers on the left-hand side and capture this flank. So I'm trying to put some emphasis onto this flag in order to win the battle instead. I've got the Typhoon ready to try and take out the Tiger, but Hitman was doing a good job of protecting those Tigers throughout the game. I've also now brought in the 7.2-inch heavy howitzer. This thing can do a serious amount of damage to tanks if it hits on target. So using it in this case to try and take out the Tiger, or at least pin it down and do some damage. Mosquito coming in for a strafing run, taking a lot of damage on the way out. But Cromwell 4 here, you can see, doing a good job finding and killing infantry by itself. And the Pack 38 also not going to be too much of an issue due to those 2 bits of machine guns. Typhoon leaking a lot of oil on the way out. That's rough. Alright, now we got Harris coming into play as he finds his aim onto the Tiger. Able to take that out. Good job, Harris. 50 cal half track. Doing what 50 cal half tracks do. Surrendering multiple infantry squads. Lovely stuff. Just going to try and get it past the line of sight of the Tiger. The Luftwaffenjäger managing to get 80 on target, but not quite hitting the mark. Both of them now pinned down, but in this case the 50 cal half track won't be able to surrender the Luftwaffenjäger since they are fanatical. That's what the little skull means on the card there. The SM-79 coming in once again for another bombing strike, looking to try and take out more of my infantry. Does manage to get another good hit onto the rifles. I've got extra Crusader AA Mark II now to try and help shoot those down. Harris here, almost smoked off by my opponent, but since he placed the smoke marker on top of the Firefly, it ended up creating this nice semicircle around it instead of actually landing in front of it. Ideally in this situation what you want to do is put the smoke in front of the unit rather than put the smoke order on top of the unit. Another Tiger taken out due to that mistake, and the Tiger's no longer safe. Now we have assault engineers in position to help take out the numerous Luftwaffenjäger that are continuing to push up on this ridge, and Headman, he did a good job of stopping me from coming off the ridge, I'll tell you that much. But we did manage to at least secure this flag to my right, which leaves us at the 15-9, which we have had for a long time in this game. Endy managed to take back some flags in the mid. Grim struggling to get off the ridge on the right hand side as well. That'll be mainly due to the fact that like the Panthers and stuff are going to hold back his armor at range. He has that 17-pounder given a go. Firefly, Cromwell 6 working together to try and take out enemy infantry and the tanks. Ideally the Firefly should be shooting at the P40 and the Cromwell shooting at the Luftwaffenjäger, but there we go. In a really good position now, where we have got massive value for money throughout the game, and especially with those 2 Tigers going down, that's a lot of points invested into basically no payoff. So Firefly Harris, he does manage to hit the P40, but the P40 gets back into cover. More Stuart 6s on the way, ready to continue pushing through the light cover here. It's a lot easier for me to use the light cover to get close to this flag than it is to kind of push off this ridge onto this left flag. Mainly because the Stuarts are going to be better at that close range engagement. Same with like the Cromwells as well, like Cromwell recons that I was using previously. More rifles coming up on the right hand side, but only 30 seconds left on the clock, so I just think, you know what, let's just pull the trigger. We'll just drive over to the left hand side and try and take that one before the end of the game. So 1 Stuart going down there as it gets bopped by a tiger. The Jäger sitting down here. Unfortunately, my Stuart's running into a bit of trouble. We at least managed to pin down this infantry pretty quick after it reveals itself. But the Stuart did take a shot from the Pak 38, and the Crusader AA is going to get taken down as well. Stuart's looking to try and take out the SDK Z7-1, so I can use the Mosquito to strafe. We managed to take out the Pak 38, and I was going to go for the strafing run onto the artillery, but after 19 minutes and 26 seconds, that's going to be a minor victory. 1,695 kills to 1,055 losses. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting game where it kind of shows the potential effectiveness of the Stuart 6s and how their abundance can really allow you to trade efficiently, which again, particularly in a 1v1, is very important. So it's something that I expect to see more of in 1v1 in particular. In team games, particularly like 10v10, like you're going to see people focusing more on like Fireflies and such, because you're going to have to deal with Panthers and Tigers. But yeah, Harris, the ace, managing to get 2 tiger kills, which is kind of funny because he wasn't known for killing tigers, he was known for killing panthers. But yeah, good job either way. And yeah, a fun little game, which I thought showed off all of the units of the Guards pretty well. So that's it for now. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.